As we discussed, during the end of the World War II, that was the time period of 1945, you had two major atomic explosions that took place in Japan, and that was at Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Now, Nagasaki, the bomb that was thrown on Nagasaki was important, and this was known as a Fat Man. So, this is how you can remember it. So, this was the region which was Nagasaki, and the next important location in Japan where the bomb was thrown was Hiroshima, and this was the named as Little Boy. So both of this, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, became important centers of conflict. Now, what happened during the World War II? World War II, you had the Allied powers, which were United States, Soviet Union, Britain, and France, and they defeated the Axis power. So there were the Allied powers and the Axis power. Now, what was the Axis? As the name suggests, they were located in the center of the whole story. So that was mainly the region of Germany and Italy, and later on Japan as well. So Allied powers versus Axis power, and that was the World War II. Now, World War II, when these Allied forces were against the Axis powers, ultimately it ended with United States dropping atomic bomb on the regions of Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But slowly and gradually, this tension spread outside the region of Europe. The conflict did not remain confined to Europe itself. It is spread to the nearby areas of Southeast Asia, parts of China, Burma, and Northeast India. And slowly and gradually, this was witnessed as one of the detrimental scenarios that could ever be seen. Now, what was the logic behind this whole war remaining cold? Now, the whole logic, as simple was, I have two examples of wrestlers here. So, here is a big wrestler and a small wrestler. So, what happens is the big wrestler becomes very, very powerful and he threatens the small wrestler, and therefore a success is possible. So what happens in this scenario is, what I am trying to explain here is, a powerful country dictates a smaller country and can easily capture or defeat the smaller country. But what would happen when there are two powerful wrestlers that are there? Now, when there are two powerful wrestlers that are there, if there is a fight, they can both fall into a well. So, what we are trying to metaphorize here is that if two superpowers are fighting, it could be highly destructive. And that was well versed with both the superpowers, and therefore, since both of them knew that they were highly powerful, none of them was willing to have a equal stand or fight with another, and that was one of the logic why this war remained cold and did not turn into a hot war. Now, this whole story is very important to understand. United States believed that everything should be done to stop the war. United States and Soviet Union were two great superpowers of that time. For both of them, atom bomb and creation of nuclear power was not the issue. After the World War II, both of them had developed rapidly on the production of nuclear power, and what was thrown at Hiroshima and Nagasaki was only 15 to 21 kilotons, and now they were capable of thousands of kilotons. So you can imagine the extent of destruction that could occur if any one of the superpowers became or came in conflict with another. So that was a kind of unacceptable situation for both, and this was known as the logic of deterrence. So this logic of deterrence is something that pressurized both the nations to basically move back, and they were not in a position to afford or initiate the war. Now, what are the features of the Cold War? The main idea was both of these nations realized or played a role of rational and responsible actors. Unless and until this was done, what would happen was a very severe scenario. Might be we were not here to explain what happened. The next was both of them were able to weigh the risks. So they were well acquainted that Even after the Cuban Missile Crisis that took place in the region of Cuba, guided under Nikita Khrushchev, the idea was they were trying to expand their influence not only in one region but across the territories, and both of them well understood, that this could lead to a path of destruction. So the most important thing was the arenas that they were trying to explore and the supremacy that they were trying to create. So again, a very important concept that comes in is, let's say I am teaching you here, so you are being influenced and might be you will study, but there is another person who is, let's say, teaching how to play games. So the person watching that might be influenced by playing games and might play games. So what is a effect here is a domino effect, and this is similar to a kind of blocks being laid up, and when I click one of the blocks, all of them would fall one over the other. So what happens is, this was a kind of domino effect that occurred with United States and Russia, as you can see here. And what happened was, the impact of the United States ideology was well reflected in Western Europe, and the ideologies of Russia were well reflected in the Eastern Europe. So it was not just these two nations which remained the superpower, but there was a divide that was seen between the ideologies. Half of the nations favoring the side of America, we could simply say, and half of the nations supporting the side of Russia. And that was because of the spill effect or the domino effect, because these countries were located to that and closer to those areas, they had a greater influence from that nation. And there was a kind of imaginary line that was drawn, and this was known as Iron Curtain, a curtain made of iron. And the idea was again a ideological divide between the communism and socialism on one end, and the capitalism and democracy on one end. So this whole division, as you can see in this diagram, this black line denotes the Iron Curtain that is there. You have the countries which were closer to the Western philosophies or the American philosophies were part of the NATO group, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which we would understand in a while. And then those with Russia became part of the Warsaw Pact. So those two pacts became important. Yugoslavia had been a very important country. It was socialist by all means, but it was non-aligned, and that is what brought Yugoslavia very close to India, which we would study later on in the section on non-aligned movement or NAM. So this division of Europe between the Eastern Europe and Western Europe is very important. Moreover, Germany was one of the nations that was split into two. Western Germany following the ideologies of America, and Eastern Germany following the ideologies of Russia until the time of unification of Germany. So that is again a very important thing. As you can see, this Iron Curtain cuts the region of cuts the region of Germany into two different regions, the West Germany versus the East Germany. Now, coming on to each of these sections, as we said, NATO or North Atlantic Treaty Organization was established in 1949, and when this treaty was organized, the idea was, if any of the nations which are part of the NATO, if they are attacked, or any of the regions, not only America but the allied regions of Europe, if they are affected, they would not leave the other party or the other superpower who is creating that problem for them. So that was the main ideology with which NATO was established. The NATO's headquarters are located in Belgium, in the region of Brussels, and later on you also had the Allied Commandos operation, which was established again at Mons in Belgium. So that was one of the founding ideas. Initially, when NATO was founded, there were only 12 members, but at present you have 30 members which are part of NATO, and you have the recent one, which is Northern Macedonia, which has joined very recently in 2020. So you have 30 nations as of now who are part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and there are other members who are aspiring to become part of NATO. Those are Ukraine, Georgia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. The next important thing is Warsaw Pact. Now, Warsaw Pact had been important, as we already said. The second side of the superpower and the allied nations which were close to Russia were part of the Warsaw Pact. Now, Warsaw Pact was created as a response to NATO, which was created in 1949. This Warsaw Pact came in 1955, and the principal function was to counter the NATO's forces in Europe. And for that, you had 7 of the nations that came together in Warsaw, Poland, to talk about the issues, and these 7 Eastern Bloc nations along with Russia became the members of Warsaw. Later on, when in 1991 the Cold War ended, so 1991 is believed to be the end of the Cold War between Russia and United States, and it was at that time that this Warsaw was completely dissolved. All of the members slowly and gradually started to move away. East Germany immediately moved away after unification with the West Germany. Slowly and gradually you had the Baltic nations. Now, what are the Baltic nations? Those lying close to the Baltic Sea, and these are the Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So these 3 nations also slowly and gradually left away, and you had a kind of dissolving, we could say, of Warsaw Pact that occurred. So that was one of the basic ideas that prompted the leaders to understand what was happening. Now, to counter this whole scenario, there were numerous treaties that was laid down, and this is a demonstration of the domino effect that we talked about, how when one nation follows a particular ideology, the nations which surround it start to follow a similar ideology. And the whole conflict was interestingly lying in Europe. Now, both these superpowers were keeping their land safe, and the whole conflict was going on in the region of Europe. So, be it NATO, be it Warsaw, all the countries which would be unifying or moving away were located in the region of Europe. Also, this was the time where most of the countries in the world were witnessing independence. They were moving out of the colonial rule of be it Britain or France. And the countries who were moving out and getting independence during this time were very, very afraid, considering the fact that they could be further consumed by either of the superpowers. So they do not wanted themselves to stay loose. So in this process, they started to create their own power, and that was the non-aligned movement, which we would understand later in a different section. Now, after the NATO and the Warsaw Pact, there were series of alliances that took place. One of the major one was SEATO. This was the Southeast Asian Treaty Organization. Now, this was an alliance which America was trying to build up with the nations of Southeast Asia. Similarly, with the nations of Center, you had the Central Treaty Organization that came up, and during this time also there was a conflict between United States and USSR and China. Both of them quarreled and they were trying to move apart, and this created a tension between the regions of China and Russia during that time. So Cold War was threatening the existence of the alliance, and they were not actually in a position to understand what is going on and what should be actually done. So how the superpowers helped these states, or how these superpowers were basically helped by the smaller states, was again a very interesting aspect. Now, as we said, Cuba, being a very small nation located close to America, became one of the centers of conflict during the Cold War. Why? And why there were similar smaller nations which were becoming centers for help being seeked by these superpowers? There were 4 primary reasons attributed to those. The first primary reason that was attributed to it The first primary reason that was attributed to it is the vital resources that they required, the basic resources that they required. This could be in the form of oil, mineral, exploration capability, or any other vital resource that they required. The second was the capability to spy. So when they are located close to the enemy, they can easily spy the region of the enemy, and that was one of the reasons that they were trying to capture smaller states across the world. So America trying to capture regions in the Pacific and the Atlantic. Similarly, Russia trying to establish its supremacy in the regions of Atlantic. So that was one of the reasons was spying. The third important reason was economic support. Now, these small nations were not able to survive unless and until they were given financial aids, they were economically supported. So, these small nations were getting significant boost from the superpowers, and therefore were ready to support either of the superpowers. And the fourth important thing was territory. Now, this became a region from where the superpowers could launch their troops, they could launch their armies or warships. So they became a new territorial base. So for example, Cuba became a base very close to America for Russia. If Russia has to come all the way from Russia till America, through aeroplanes it could have been possible, which was laid down in the air theory given by Mahan, but that's a totally different story. When it comes to real ground and the wars, it is required that there are territorial bases which are close to the region. So those four were the basic reasons why smaller states were captured under the bigger superpowers. The next was, what were the arenas for these Cold War? Now there were different confrontations which took place. One was the confrontation which took place in in Korea, and this was mediated by India. So the disturbance between the North Korea and South Korea was mediated by India during that time, and that was very significant achievement. The second was the Berlin conflict. The third was the Congo conflict. Now these three had been one of the major arenas where the crisis deepened and deepened further, and none of the parties were willing to go down, none of the parties were willing to retaliate, and all the parties were there ready to fight. So there was a need for mediation, and India became a leader in mediating these nations, and with the idea of non-alignment, it was further strengthened. So this crisis and war situation that occurred was threatened by the existence, and this created a threat to the existence of not only the two nations but the globe as well, or the world as well. Now, what kind of crisis or war situation could be assumed was there? Could be because of miscalculations. Now, even if both of the nations are ready, they are not ready. They were ready that they won't fight, okay, but still there could be scenario that there could be miscalculations. What kind of miscalculations, you might ask? It's very simple to understand. If one of the persons gets very aggressive and just plugs up the nuclear bomb, there could be a disaster. There could be another miscalculation that both of the nations might have: who is more powerful, or who owns more weapons, or who owns more nuclear capability. There could be a wrong misunderstanding about the powers and the nuclear capabilities that either of the nations have, or there could be a mischief that could be done by any of the soldier, or might be the defense personals located close by, or rather there could be an accident in a nuclear weapon. Either of those scenarios could create a devastation that could be taken into account for sure. So that was one of the major miscalculations that we focus on. So to curb this, what was taken into account was a stable balance of weapons. Now this stable balance of weapons was decided and maintained on both the sides by an arms control. Now, how these arms were controlled were followed by numerous treaties that came into effect post 1960s. So after 1960s, nearly 3 decades, there were series of treaties that came into existence. For example, the first one was Limited Test Ban Treaty, LTBT. Now, LTBT suggested, or I would say banned, the use of nuclear test, be it in air, outer space or underground water, and this was signed by America, Britain and Russia in 1963. So this was one of the major ways to control the arms. The second important treaty that came in was non-proliferation treaty. Now, non-proliferation treaty basically said that only the nuclear weapon states have the nuclear weapons. Those who have the nuclear weapons as of now are allowed to have it, and it stops any other nation from having the nuclear weapons. So by the 1967, when this NPT was signed, you had 5 nations which were nuclear weapon states. Those were America, Russia, Britain, France and China, and this treaty was signed in the region of Washington, London and Moscow in different times. The next was the SALT 1 and the SALT 2. Now the SALT 1 and the SALT 2 was the strategic arms limitation talks 1 and 2. So the first one took place in 1969 and the second one in 72. In both of the treaties, the idea was to limit the strategic offensive arms that the nations could use, and these two treaties were signed between United States and Russia. The next important treaty was START as in Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. Now, Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty was again seen in 1 and 2. The first came in 1991 and the second in 93. And both of them were signed again by America and Russia. The idea of the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty was that both of them aimed to reduce the offensive use of the strategic arms that they have. So those were some of the ways under which they were trying to control or curb down the use for the arms and the ammunition, so that a severe destructive form could actually not take place. Now, if we go through the timeline, this is very, very important. Now, in this timeline, we would understand that in 1947, which coincides with the year of independence for India, you had the Truman's Doctrine, which talked about containment of communism, and this was led by US during that time. So, United States was trying to contain the spread of communism from Russia. During 1947 to 52, you had Marshall Plan, which was a US aid for the reconstruction of Western Europe that was released. In 48-49, you had the Berlin blockade, which was taken place by Soviet Union, and this Berlin blockade was basically a kind of uplift of the air supplies, or the airlift of the supplies that took place to the citizens of West Berlin by United States. So again, a division of West Germany and East Germany that was important during that time. In 1950s, you had the Korean War, and as we said, India mediated this war, and it was the division of Korea between North Korea and South Korea along the 38th parallel, which was named as a dividing line between the two nations. 1954, you had the defeat of the French by the Vietnamese, and this was a very important timeline where you also had a formation of SEATO, the Southeast Atlantic Treaty Organization, where United States was supporting the nations of Southeast Asia. Then you had the American intervention, which took place in 1955, where you had an intervention with Vietnam, and finally you had signing of the Baghdad Pact that took place. Later on, the Soviet Union tried to basically intervene in the regions of Hungary and establish its supremacy in the regions of Hungary. In 1961, you had US sponsored mission, which was on the Bay of Pigs. So this is again important. 1961, you have Bay of Pigs invasion that was taking place, and this was for the Cuba construction of the Berlin Wall, the invasion of the Cuba, and along with the invasion of the Cuba, the construction of the Berlin Wall. So this was sponsored again by United States in 1961. Then later on, 62, we already did the Cuban missile crisis, which was one of the major aspects that led to a drastic change in the world scenario. 65 you had the intervention of America in Domino Republic, and later on you had the intervention of Soviet Union in the regions of Czechoslovakia. So here America was intervening in the regions of Domino Republic, here Soviet Union was intervening in the regions of Czechoslovakia. So they were trying to establish their supremacies and spread themselves in the different territories or the smaller states, as we said. In 1985 the development has been a very significant development, because it was at this time that USSR, you had a new president, Gorbachev, and Gorbachev started to bring in significant reforms in the region of Russia. Finally, in 1990, you had unification of Germany that took place, and with the unification of Germany, there was slow and gradual dissolution of this Cold War period, which finally ended in 1991. So this is a kind of broad timeline how the things changed and how the scenarios changed over the years. Now, the next important thing that we focus on is NAM, which is the non-aligned movement, and this was led by Tito and Jawaharlal Nehru, Tito from Yugoslavia and Jawaharlal Nehru, and then you had Nasser from Egypt, who were trying to bring in or unite the small nations which recently got independent, and they were neither supporting either the capitalist-led America during that time or the communist-led Russia during that time.